Hello and welcome to High Caliber TV, or source for figure and model updates every Wednesday and Friday. So today on Workbench Wednesday, I'm going to be doing part 1 of this figure. I'm going to try and do this figure in a continuous sort of a couple of quick parts that are going to culminate in the finished product, and I'm really excited about this. I've never done a Majin Kim figure, bust, anything like that before, and I've always wanted to, so let's get right down to it. I've got this base, which I'm going to be setting him on, and this was from IPMS Seattle, one of the local wood base vendors there, so it's really nice. It's got sort of a fashioned cant to it, but this is flat, so yeah, there's plenty of room for a nameplate on there if I want to put it on. So this is a pretty standard figure, not that many parts. The main component, the torso, legs, greatcoat, really fantastic. Only 3 actual casting blocks that you need to remove. One up here at the collar, you're going to need to be pretty careful with it, but I'll go over that later in the video. It's going to require some undermining. And then there's, usual stuff, the head, the eye patch. A lot of character in this figure. And then you can either fashion him with a hand. I think he's supposed to be missing a hand, but I'm definitely going to give him the gloved hand just to keep him complete. And then we've got this. Majin Kim is really good about giving base or little plinths that you can put your figures on. And I'm going to be pinning and gluing this to the wooden block that I just showed, sort of to keep everything complete. It's already got the footprints in there. It's nicely textured, so I figure I'll just use this, keep everything simple. Yeah, really awesome stuff. Alright, so in the next bit we're going to talk about cleaning the individual pieces. So here we are with the 3 casting blocks. 2 on the shoulders have already been removed. I'm working on smoothing that off. But now this is the difficult one on the figure. So you want to maintain the sharpness of the color, and you do not want to break the lip here. So the trick that we always use is you take a sharp X-Acto knife and then you begin to gently carve away. You undermine the base of the casting block, and this will work on things like if there's casting blocks on the inside rims of helmets and things like that, where you have to maintain a very delicate edge. This is, you might be able to tell that I'm not talking that much because this is more challenging to do through the viewfinder than it is to do just by looking at it. But as you can see, I've already worked away a lot of the back end of the block. You can also use a saw for this, but I want to maintain as much control as I can. Another idea is to come back at it from this side. As you can see, there I'm starting to take off some more. And yeah, there we go. It's starting to work it down. Looks like I've actually taken off part of this, but I'll just rebuild that. So I'm gonna cut away so I don't have to do this through the viewfinder and come back when the torso piece is a bit more finished. So we're back, and I've done all the filling, sanding, all that sort of stuff. This is the figure pre-prime, but as you can see, I was able to clear the block and then just filled in the roughness that of course occurs when you're scoring something or undermining anything. So there was a little bit of a mold slip, but I was certain to take that off so that it didn't, ruin the final look. But it was just small, so I was able to clear most of it away with an X-Acto blade, and then again take away the roughness with some liquid green stuff. It looks pretty good. I was also sure to pin the legs, or the feet to the legs. The figure's pinned down to this base, and then I've drilled 3 locating holes that are gonna find corresponding pins in the base once this is closer to being completed. I plan on just doing the whole thing and then affixing it to the base, so I don't have to worry about masking the base or doing anything like that. So next step is going to be priming, which of course I'm going to do with the usual stuff, most likely something like this, just a neutral color like brown, and then I will be counter shading with these 2 things that I was able to pick up at the local hobby shop that's now on West 3rd Street in North Vancouver. So that's just 2 blocks up from the apartment, or High Caliber headquarters, if you will. So I was able to pick this stuff up from there, and these will be perfect as double duty for reinforcing the basic primer and then counter shading. So we'll get back to this when I'm done with the counter shading phase. So here we are, back again. There have been a couple of layers of primer applied to this figure, and I've also touched it with some dabs of Humbrol. That's the darker chocolatey brown color. These dabs are just going to help complete the sanding process. So what I like to do is, the primer doesn't lie, ever. If you ever want to know if there's imperfections on your kit, just spray it with a thin layer of primer and you will see them instantly. So with that, I let the primer dry, added the Humbrol, and this is something that Alan taught me. You take the Humbrol and then you can sand it down, and once you get to the primer layer, you know you've sanded enough. So it has sort of 2 functions. It'll dry super hard, and the enamel is dense enough that you can use it to fill in the smallest of the imperfections, and then you can lightly sand it down with a fine grain sand stick, or some, I think I have 1400 grain that I'm going to use for this. And yeah, he's coming together really well. He looks fantastic, actually. Very sharply dressed officer. So yeah, we'll continue once the counter shading and the final sanding is complete, and then move on from there. So we're back. Now what I've done is I've applied another layer of slightly more refined counter shading highlights. No more of the black has been added, but I did feel that there wasn't enough white, so I added a bit more of that, as always spraying just straight down. And then I applied the first 2 colors. Now the coat, or his officer's tunic, was straight light color. This, don't know if you can read that, UA077 German field gray, right out of the bottle, with Future Floor Wax as the thinner. I made it relatively thin comparatively because I knew that I wanted the counter shading to shine through. The trousers, I noticed there was a bit of a blue tinge to them, so I used Vallejo base gray and added a little bit of Mediterranean, like a very small amount of Mediterranean blue, probably 1 to 5, because I didn't want it to be overpoweringly blue, even though this is there's a lot of gray in this anyway. That was also thinned with Future Floor Wax, and the trousers came out significantly better. Now my process was that I masked the trousers off just in a pretty caveman-y sort of masking process, because I knew I was going to be controlling the airbrush anyway. And then I removed that, sort of did another caveman-y sort of, a couple of thin sheets of kabuki tape there, and then sprayed the trousers. Now the trousers came out better, in my opinion, because I was lighter on the airbrush. I only did probably at most 3 passes to get the entire coat done, and on this I did closer to 6. And so the counter shading doesn't shine through quite as well on the tunic and the officer's cap, but it's still there. It's going to be more of a guide rather than a defining characteristic on the tunic. But the trousers they're very much where I wanted them to be, and they're sort of, the mid highlights are basically done now for me. So yeah, just, if I could do this again, unfortunately with figure painting there's very few you know, like Control-Alt-Delete sort of things, or Control-Zs, and you just sort of have to keep going and find a solution if you've made an error. But if I could go again and do this all over from the counter shading, I would just use the same sort of thin solution and just go over it twice. Let it dry. I probably applied too many coats on the green because on first go over, it didn't look like there was enough coverage. And so, yeah, anyway, lesson learned. Trousers look good though. And next step, we're going to be highlighting the two colors using the base colors that I had, plus either a little bit of this glazing medium or the counterpart from Vallejo glaze medium. If you get a chance to try both of these, let me know what you think. I'm still on the fence. I haven't really done a side-by-side comparison. There might not be a difference. This could be just a smaller size version of this, but we'll see. I'm going to try and do the figure with this, see how it comes out, but that'll be in the next part. So right now, we're going to stop, and the next part will be about highlights and beginning the jacket, which is, as you can see, the largest component of the figure, and it's basically the most challenging component as well, because if you've ever done an all-black kit in any scale, you know the most challenging thing about doing black is making it look real and making it look dynamic, because if you just sprayed black over the counter shading, it'd look good, but it wouldn't look like it's not leather. Leather was a living thing at one point, so it has that random variation to it. And so we need to keep that in mind when moving forward on this. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Check us out at highcaliberminiatures.com. Link's going to be in the description. I really appreciate everybody using the Ask a Modeler thing on our website. I think that's a great way for people who would normally be asking me questions on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or just not asking questions because they don't know how to get in contact with us. We really do appreciate, you know, the opportunity to interact with other modelers in that medium, so that's great. And also, for all the people who are coming back and saying that they really appreciate me doing videos again, I mean, that's great, you know? That's, it's great to have such a welcoming and patient community, I suppose. So yeah, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.